Hello everyone, welcome to MinseyCrafts. I am Minna and I am your host on this channel. This is primarily a knitting vlog, although it may expand into some other things in the future, and I'll be telling you more about that later in this episode. And my knitting vlog comes from my knitting nook here in the northeast of England. I should also mention that I am not sponsored by any of the brands I will be talking about here. If you watched the episode 1, you may remember I introduced you to a chunky Snood project that I had just started a few days ago at that point. Well, this project is finished now and I will show you. So it looks like this. I've weaved in the ends and it's been I did not sew it together exactly, but I used a crochet. It's not a crochet method. It's not brilliant, I would say, but it's does the job. And now I'm too afraid to undo it anyways, because I'm afraid this yarn will just become too frail. And it's really nice and squishy, and I love this pattern. The yarn was just enough. I weighed 195 grams in the ball before I started, and I have 8 grams left, so it was really just spot on. Now, one thing is what I find interesting is that the pattern, if I read it for you here, is, so it gives a description of the first pattern repeat, and then it says repeat these rows 1 through 6 4 times more. So I read that as a total of 5 pattern repeats, but I only had enough yarn for 4 repeats of the pattern, and I'm not entirely sure if there's a mistake in the actual pattern. I tried looking on West Yorkshire Spinners website for any comments on that. They have some tutorial videos on YouTube as well, but there wasn't anything exactly precisely for this one. So, but it's still, I think it's long enough as is. My tension was spot on in terms of rows, and in terms of stitches I was off by 1, so I can't believe that that would actually make that big of a difference for my yarn consumption with this. I've not blocked this yet. I will do that probably later in this week. And let me try this on for you so you can see how it looks like. So this is how it looks like. It's yeah, how do I put it? It's okay. It's definitely warm. It does feel very lovely, and I can see use for this for sure. I think that actually it would have benefited from having a little slits on the sides here, so it would like maybe sit a little bit better. I also think that because this is chunky yarn, maybe there just isn't like enough drape for it. And I do look forward to seeing whether blocking will change the properties of this yarn. And my husband, when he saw me wearing this the first time, he said that I look like a daffodil because of the trumpet-like look on this. But I think this is very warm. The other thing I was thinking that I could do is wear it like folded like this, and it's kind of like a collar then. But then it hides the beautiful pattern that I've knitted on this. But actually I was talking to my mom just the other day, and I showed this to her, and I mentioned like this problem, and she had the genius idea that I could wear this inside out, in which case then the pattern shows on the top. So I will try that as well then. But the overall rating for this pattern, I would say, is it's okay. It was a fun project to knit, and it was luckily it was very quick. But if I was to redo this, I think I would probably leave a little bit make little slits on the sides here, so it hangs a little bit more on the chest and the back, and maybe knit it a little bit shorter, but that's just my personal preference. Maybe also a little bit tighter, possibly, but as is, like I said, I'll get use out of this. And then I would like to introduce you to Ashford. So Ashford is a very new thing to me, a spinning wheel, and how I came across this is a second-hand spinning wheel. I don't have money to buy a brand new one. They are extremely expensive in my opinion. So how I came across Ashford, as I call it now, is one of the neighbors I know through our dogs just randomly asked me if I have a spinning wheel, and I was kind of like said, well, I have a drop spindle, but not a spinning wheel. And he then said he might have a spare one, and I was like, yeah, whatever, sure, thank you, but do let me know. And he did have a spare one. He sold me his mother's old spinning wheel, and I got a superb deal on it. It did require a little bit of TLC. I ordered a maintenance kit, and so it has I actually don't know anything about spinning really. I took a drop spindle class in, I think it was in like 2016, 2017, something like this, and I did really like that, but then I never got into it per se at the time. And so now I'm actually very excited about this, and I've learned a lot already. I've only had it for like about a week and a half now, and it's so I had to put a new drive band on it and new brake band, and I'm kind of like trying to learn how to pedal it so that it's going at a steady pace, and how to stop it at the certain points. And the other thing I'm kind of still a little bit confused is about how does the so the flyer goes around, and the bobbin goes around with it, I believe, although I don't know, mine might have a little bit of issues with that. So I'm still kind of learning it, and it's actually a really fun device, so I look forward to making something with it as I get comfortable and I've learned to use it more properly. I did order wool tops at the same time as I ordered the maintenance kit, and so I got from this, I ordered from this company called Adelaide Walker here in UK, and I got 200 grams of Jacob wool. So Jacob is a sheep brand, type of sheep here in the UK, and this should be, the reason I selected the Jacob fleece is that it should be easier for beginners to learn to spin with this. So I can feel that it's a little bit maybe rough, or has maybe a little bit curl to it as well, and so yeah, hopefully I will be making something out of this. So this is a 200 gram wool top, and off the top of my head now, the cost for this was I think it was somewhere around like £2 per 100 grams. I did then, once I'm optimistically thinking that I will improve and become proficient at spinning. So I also then ordered this finer blue-faced Leicester sheep fleece, 100 grams. I think this was about a little over £3 for 100 grams. And this color is oatmeal. The Jacob sheep wool was grey color. And I can actually like just feel that this is a lot more smoother and softer than the Jacob. And I did read that, for example, merino wool is very slick and soft, and makes it more difficult to spin actually. So I'm not going to jump into spinning with merino quite yet. I did at the same time, as I was shopping online at Adelaide Walker, I did purchase this Ashford Book of Spinning, and this I think this is actually a really good resource of information. So I'm really happy I have this, and it explains all the parts as well. Of course you can get this on online, but I think it's nice to have this book handy when I'm sitting with the spinning wheel, and then just refer to it, and it seems to have a lot of good information. I've read some parts of it, so I'm very pleased with my purchases there. And then I'll get to my last section of the episode 2. So I have some finished projects, and shockingly I had this week a day or two where I had nothing on the needles, and that was just a really weird feeling. I almost always, I have to say, I have something going on. So it was just like a really weird moment where I had nothing going on. I'm not one of those people who tend to have a lot of projects going on at the same time. I think I stick to best to 2 or 3 projects at the most, just because I feel like then I'm actually making progress with each one of them, and I am more prone to finish them probably. Although I do say that I think I have a little bit of a OCD about finishing projects before I can start next one. So that's actually pretty helpful at getting projects finished. I think in my lifetime I've frogged maybe two projects in total, which is pretty amazing. And getting into my finished projects. So I have finished a pair of socks. These are not blocked yet, and actually, to be honest, I don't really block socks very often because I just put them into use then pretty much immediately. These are kind of like jeans blue color. If you can see in the light here, it's starting to get a little bit dark, so maybe not good for the color to see it so well. I knitted this with Finnish brand yarn from Novita. This is Nalle brand yarn. It comes in a 100-gram ball. It's a sport weight yarn, and it's 100 grams, and you get about 260 meters. It's 75% wool and 25% polyamide. It's knitted with the 3.5mm needles, and it's quite good for socks. Then I have quite a large project that I finished probably actually already a few weeks ago. So this is a blanket. This is a pattern by Drops Design. It's called Winter Crystals. So this is a crochet project. It's quite large, and I knitted this, deviated from the pattern a little bit by knitting a few extra squares, and so that it would fit me better because I'm fairly tall. And I really enjoyed making this. It's because you use a little bit thicker yarn. This is not as chunky as the West Yorkshire Spinner chunky yarn was, but it's so I used 8mm hook for this. This is Drops Snow Apple Green, and this I really enjoyed making this one. The yarn is very soft and squishy, and I like that. And let me just show you how this looks, if I can, on the screen. So each square is fairly large, so you don't need so many squares, and And I made, so the original pattern I think was calls for making 5x3 squares, and I made 4x6 squares, and just so that it's long enough for me. And then there is a edging that's crocheted on, and each of the squares is of course needs to be sewed together so that it's not the kinds that you just crochet as a one large piece. And yeah, I'm very happy with this as well. This is very nice. I look forward to using it. We're getting a cold spell here, so I probably will need that. I have also started new projects, but I'll be talking about those more in the next episode, which hopefully will be coming out sometime next week. I will link the drops pattern and the West Yorkshire Spinners YouTube channel on in the space below, and you'll find the links for the Snood from last week's episode. And don't forget, if you enjoyed watching this, like and subscribe. I hope to be posting more episodes roughly once a week, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.